What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Clarkey here. Welcome back to my round one tipping and preview show for the 2021 NRL season. I do say welcome back because this was a really fun video that I enjoyed making a lot last year. This year, I have a sponsor that's come on board, which I'm really excited about. So without further ado, guys, I'd like to welcome on the sponsor this year for my tipping videos each round, which is PlayUp, a proudly owned Australian gambling company, guys. So if you are thinking about having a punt on the NRL this round, guys, head to playup.com.au. They offer a wide range of offers, selections, and all the markets you'll ever need to have fun with a gamble on the footy, guys. But as always, guys, make sure it's fun, make sure it's recreational. Don't overstep the mark, guys. You know your limits when it comes to that sort of stuff. So please, I cannot stress enough, please gamble responsibly. And just on the video, guys, if you were here last year, you remember it was really casual. It was just me going over the tips on my phone sort of as I go. It wasn't too scheduled. It wasn't a well filmed out and edited video. It was raw and it was sort of in one take. And that's sort of how I like to do my videos, guys. I don't like to over edit them too much because one, I'm not that good at that sort of stuff. And two, there's so much of that out there already that I want to be different. I want to bring you guys the first take. As if we're just chatting footy in a bar or something of the like. So the video will remain very much the same this year. Maybe I will consider jumping outside at some stage, recording out there, doing a little bit more of a better background for you guys. Because my good old Massey's chair here, it does help with my lower back issues, but she's not the best backdrop for you all to look at. So without all that being said, guys, let's get started. Thursday night, tomorrow, kicks off the NRL season. We've got the Melbourne Storm here, taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. I can see the Rabbitohs are now favourites, which is crazy because I remember a few days ago looking at this, they were outsiders to win this. But that's the case with the Rabbitohs this year. They've sort of crept up on everyone. They've made fantastic signings such as Josh Mansour and Benji Marshall. And seemingly a lot of punters here are tipping the Rabbitohs. They think they can get the job done. I, however, am going with the Melbourne Storm. How's this for a fact for you guys? The Rabbitohs, they've actually never won at Amy Park. Never. I think I saw on another page that was 0 from 16. Whereas the Melbourne Storm, I remember doing a preview last year where the Melbourne Storm haven't lost a round one game in 20 years or something. And I think they've never lost a round one game under Craig Bellamy. So that's obviously huge. For those two reasons alone, I am going to go with the Melbourne Storm. I'm going to tip them here. I think they will defeat the South Sydney Rabbitohs. I know they have a few injuries, such as... I can't think right now. Dale Finucane, I believe, is out. And also Harry Grant. So they are two huge losses. But I just think the Storm will be good enough to get the job done here and start their season on the right note. Friday night, the Newcastle Knights take on the Canterbury Bulldogs at 6 p.m. I can see the Knights are favourites here. I know they are missing Kalen Ponga, which is obviously a huge loss for them. But I just do think that when I look at the Knights squad here compared to the Bulldogs, although the Bulldogs have made some nice signings, I think the Knights have a stronger roster. And given we have no 2021 form to go off, I am going to really lean to that for my selection here. I do think the Bulldogs have made some fantastic signings, but I do have to question how much they can gel as such in just the one NRL round. So I'm going to go with the Knights here, guys. I'm tipping the Knights to defeat the Bulldogs. Later that night, the Brisbane Broncos take on the Parramatta Eels, and I can see here that the Eels are heavy favourites here. I probably back that sentiment. I can see absolutely why. I understand it is a fresh season, but just realistically, with what we saw from the Broncos last year, it is really hard to tip them. They didn't show us, and I know there have been some significant changes in terms of coaching staff and some new signings coming in there, but I just don't see how that could get them over the edge here to defeat the Parramatta Eels, who are a well-oiled unit. We saw that throughout majority of last season. They should start 2021 on the right note, so I'm going to tip the Eels to defeat the Broncos there. Saturday, we have my team, the Gold Coast Titans, taking on the New Zealand Warriors. This will be a really good contest and a really fun contest because both sides have made fantastic signings. For the Warriors, I'm looking at players like Ben Murdoch-Masila and Adam Fanua-Blake. And for the Titans, I'm looking at Tino, and I'm not going to pronounce that last name, I get it wrong every time, and David Fafita. So it's going to be a big battle of the forwards in the middle here, but ultimately, I am going to lead towards the Gold Coast Titans. I think that this was a really emotional preseason. watching the documentary that aired on Fox League called Building Titans. It was a 4-part documentary series. It was just fantastic, and I could really see from each player how much it means to them. Given we don't have too much footage to review in the trials, and these two teams did actually draw in a trial game, it makes it hard to make a pick here, but I will lean with my heart over my head. So I'm going to go ahead and tip the Gold Coast Titans to get the job done here against the New Zealand Warriors. Next game, we have at 5:30 p.m. the Sydney Roosters taking on the Manly Sea Eagles. This one's a really, really easy pick for me. I don't have to discuss this in too great depth or detail because I think a lot of you guys will agree with this one sentence. Without Tom Trbojevic, the Sea Eagles will struggle. And that's not to say they won't win games. They will win games, but they won't win games against top 4 sides such as the Roosters, Storm, Rabbitohs, Panthers, etc., etc. There's a couple other teams that could fit into that top 4 category, such as the Eels, Raiders, and stuff. They're the sort of teams I don't see the Sea Eagles getting it done without Tom Trbojevic. I can see here on the team list they've moved Dylan Walker to fullback, which I do like that move because he is probably the most experienced outside back they have available there for that position. And they've also carried Tavita Funa on the bench, who played a little bit of fullback last year. But that just won't be enough to topple the Roosters with players like Tedesco and Luke Keary, which will come out firing, I think, to start the 2021 season. So, me, at the Sydney Cricket Ground, I'm leaning with the Sydney Roosters, and they are who I'm going to tip. Later that Saturday night, we see the Penrith Panthers take on the North Queensland Cowboys. Now, this should be a fun matchup, but I do see the Panthers sort of running away with this one. I just see this Panthers team, I think they could finish 4th, 5th. I see them around the top 4 this year, but they have a lot of young, energetic players that play with a lot of passion. So what we've got from this team is a bunch of young guns that have sat on a grand final loss all preseason, worked that little bit extra harder all preseason. And I just think they're going to be so hungry. They're going to explode out of the gate like a box 1 favourite greyhound. And they're going to head straight to the rail and put the Cowboys to the sword here. If I did have to make a bold prediction here, I'm probably going to lean with the Penrith Panthers actually defeating the North Queensland Cowboys by 13 plus. I think they will get the job done pretty easily there, which is an unfortunate way for the Cowboys to start their season. But I just think the Panthers are a little class above them. So I'm going to go ahead and tip the Panthers there to get it done quite comfortably over the Cowboys. Sunday afternoon, 4 p.m, we've got the Canberra Raiders taking on the West Tigers at GIO Stadium. I could probably go to that game now. I'm looking at that. We'll see how that goes. But I am going to tip the Raiders here, guys. They're just a more settled unit. That's the simple way of me looking at this. The Tigers have made some great signings, but I look at their spine. Dane Laurie, on debut for the club. Jacob Liddell, out injured, and hasn't really built much cohesion with Luke Brooks. And then Luke Brooks with Moses Mbai at 5'8". Haven't really had time to build that partnership in the spine. And whilst I do acknowledge they have great outside backs with a lot of potential, such as James Roberts, Joseph Leilua, they're also the sort of players where if the Tigers aren't on top and they're not raring and not everything's going correct, they can fade out of games. And the Raiders are the opposite. They're the sort of team that they build into a game, especially with Josh Hodgson at hooker. They start sort of slow, but then they slowly grind down a side and bring them into the arm wrestle, and then the Raiders take over. And with a spine of CNK, George Williams, Jack White, and Hodgson, they've obviously played a lot more football together. With all that being said, I will tip the Canberra Raiders, but if I had to pick a genuine upset for this round, I would say the West Tigers are capable of it, just because their spine is new and we're not sure how well they might all play together. But I have to go off what I do know, and what I do know is the Raiders are a very formidable spine and team, and they're playing at home. So Raiders are my tip. Final game for the round, guys. Hopefully you're still around. Hopefully you're still enjoying the video. We've got the St. George Illawarra Dragons taking on the Cronulla Sharks now. I'm not going to sugarcoat this one, guys. It's at Nostrada Jubilee, which is a Dragons home game, but I believe that has been the Sharks home stadium all of last year. I'm tipping the Sharks here. I'm going to get it out there straight away. I think the Sharks will struggle without Sean Johnson at stages this year, but overall, especially with what I've seen from the Dragons this preseason, and when I say from what I've seen from the Dragons, it's not a case of what I haven't seen. A lot of the times we go into a season and we go, oh, we haven't seen enough from them in the trials, or we haven't seen enough from their new signing. For me, though, with the Dragons, it's what I have seen. And what I have seen is horrible defense in all trial games. And I know that, you know, the excuse is built in there that it's just a trial game. It doesn't matter. But it does matter. Trial game or grand final, you're still wearing your club's colours. You want to go out there and work on the things you've been working on this preseason and compete and try your hardest. And I'm not saying the Dragons didn't do that, but they did make a ton of errors on defense, and they had 3 trial games to correct that. I don't really think they did. And I mean, in the Dragons' defense, there is obviously the excuse that combinations were being chopped and changed in the middle of a trial game, but ultimately, I think the Sharkies can score points. I think they will score points against the Dragons, so I'm going to tip the Sharks here for my final tip of the round, guys. That wraps up my round 1 NRL preview and tips. Just want to give a massive special shout out to my sponsor, PlayUp. Really appreciate them coming on board, guys. And I've got some really good things lined up for the page in terms of their sponsorship money. As I think I ramble on about this too much, but as you guys know, 100% of everything I make here on the page goes to Australian charities or people in need. At first I had it as just charities, but then I thought, hey, there are members of our community that might be doing it tough, might not be able to put food on the table. And that's where we can all enjoy footy content together, but actually come together and commit to a greater cause. And that's something I'm really passionate about. So by PlayUp coming on board, I appreciate them so much because that really does enable me and put us all in a position to do some great things. So my mind's already started rolling as to some fantastic ways we can use that money. But for now, all I need you guys to do is keep liking, keep enjoying the content, and I'll keep working my hardest to pump the content out, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoy the footy. Kidding, I know you guys will enjoy the footy. How good is it that it's back, guys? I can't wait to see you all in future videos. I'm signing off for now, but I'll see you all very shortly for my round 2 preview and tips.